Hello and welcome to the CBC Debate Room. Today we will be doing a short segment on a debate between the authors George Seeley and Rudyard Griffiths on Is a Shared Canadian Identity a Good One? Before we begin this debate, I want to outline what is meant by a shared Canadian identity. A shared Canadian identity is one that integrates all of the different cultural, religious, and ethnic backgrounds, which is what Seeley supports. On the other side, Griffiths supports the idea that there should be one solid national Canadian identity. We will start off with Griffiths. Griffiths, what do you think?
To begin, my name is Rudyard Griffiths, and I am the author of Who We Are, A Citizen's Manifesto. In this society today, Canada is a country that lacks the true patriot love that it claims to embrace because of this notion of a shared Canadian identity. Canadian citizens have this problem of asserting their own nationhood because of this sense of decentralization and preference of belonging to individual cultures when really we should be harmonizing as one. Although multiculturalism is beneficial in some ways, it also causes separation between citizens into distinctive communities and runs the risk of eliminating the national identity.
I beg to differ, good old friend Griffiths, but the national Canadian identity is diversity. There are Canadian citizens of all different backgrounds that make Canada the country that it is today. Canadians assert their nationhood by expressing their ethnic and cultural freedom on a daily basis. As our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. This country was founded upon Aboriginal land, and it is important to approach and integrate the historical key values of Amerindians that can be displayed through the Amerindian auto history. As being a part of the Huron Nation, we are meant to share our way of living. For example, the Amerindian cultural values have far more influence the Euro-Americans' values, as they are the ones who left their national surroundings. This being said, those who immigrate to Canada may bring something new to the country, but the Canadian identity will have a stronger effect and influence on the newcomers because this is their
Well,
new
as
home.
noted in the second chapter of my book, I believe that if we do not strictly follow a national identity, we are soon to become strangers living in a strange land. There are many Canadian citizens who adopt the name of being a Canadian citizen but do not demonstrate it through their social networks. Each ethnically diverse individual tends to group together with their own race or ancestry, which in fact limits and does not broaden cultural horizons that multiculturalism promised. This can be proven further in my book through a study that reported that 58% of Canadians had friends that were completely or mostly of the same racial background. Furthermore, highly diverse groups experience a lack of civic participation and engagement and have a loss of confidence in democratic institutions. This tuning out of formal politics strongly encompasses us as an unencumbered country.
Engaging in formal politics and bowing down to the federal government is not all that makes Canadians or even human beings who they are. The Amerindian way of life believes in the sacred circle of life. The idea that every being, material and immaterial, are equal and interdependent. Human beings have a right to freedom of speech, which means a right to freedom of life. If Canadians maintain a shared identity between cultures, then the lives of each individual will learn to respect the sacred characteristics that exist among all forms of life. When the 15th and 16th century Europeans ruthlessly confronted the native nations, the natives did not inflict their philosophical beliefs. So what right does Canada today have to try and assimilate all Canadians?
If we don't try to assimilate Canadians as one, just as Canadian novelist Yann Martel said, we basically become the greatest hotel on earth. People from all around the world will come and go as please. They will simply travel to this great Canadian country and do their business, fulfill their obligations, and then take their loyalties elsewhere, without a second glance. We must make Canada great again.
Well, Griffiths, in my opinion, the statement of Canada being the greatest hotel on earth is actually heartwarming because it shows that we are an accepting and understanding nation. We are not secondary. And I repeat, we are not secondary to the political and business world, and we prosper for the comprehensive advancement of this loving country.
Alright, folks, so they're telling me that we are running out of time, so please wrap it up with your final remarks.
We must date back to the times of the Aboriginal peoples and portray the essential Amerindian values. A shared Canadian identity is important and unique as it showcases that each individual has the chance to show their way of life and respect others in an understanding environment. It is good that we are able to express our cultural and religious and diverse characteristics on a land that is respected, and we will always stand on guard for
Don't try to incorporate the Canadian anthem into your conclusion when I was open like that with my argument.
We do live in a free country, my friend.
Gentlemen, remember, an argument is a collective series of statements, not pettiness. Please continue with your conclusion, Griffiths. I believe that who we are is rooted in a solid nationhood. Multiculturalism brings forth a disregard for the essential Canadian values of civic duty and loyalty, as well as allows for an excuse to treat our homeland as a simple hotel room service. The notion of a shared identity is not a good one, as it eliminates the one true Canadian identity. And that's all we have for this segment. Thank you, Roger Griffiths and George Siwi, for your inputs. We would be happy to have you back. Ugh, I'm always getting cut off by you CNN people. Why do you in social media never want to hear what I have to say?